Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cash Keyboards. My name is VP. Let's build a keyboard. Recently, my friend Lady Mania hit me up, and she was like, "Hey, I see you build a lot of keyboards, but can you do a budget full size? Because I kind of need a new keyboard, and it'd be fun to see if you could build a budget full size." So challenge accepted. Today we have the E-Yooso K-682. This is a full size keyboard, and it is hot swappable, and it's budget friendly. So, some of the requests were, she wants a Clicky, so we got blue switches. She wants it full size, we got a full size. And she wants it pretty, so we're gonna make it pretty. Pulling out a box, we have a very standard wrapping job. You get this little goodie bag that we're gonna fight and struggle to open because there's so much tape, and gotta flex my strength. As a goodie bag, it comes with 4 additional blue switches, a keycap puller, and a switch puller, because again, this board is hot swappable. Getting back to the box, it's very simple packaging. We have a user manual, and then of course the keyboard itself. So for this build, we went with a white theme. It does not have a detachable USB cable. We're just going to put that in the back. Look at this. It's a white on white theme. This board comes in white or black colorways. It's a full-size standard layout. It has RGB on not only backlit but also the side vents there. They have RGB as well. Here's your standard flip-out feet and a little bit of rubber feet in the front to help it's like. It actually feels pretty solid for an extremely budget-friendly keyboard. So first things first, let's take a look at these switches. These are Otemu Blues. They are box style. You guys know what they are. They're clicky as heck. Not my favorite kind of thing, but hey, that's what she wants. That's what she gets. Red keycap puller, and the generic just metal switch puller. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna struggle with getting some of these keycaps off. So the problem with this board is the fact that everything's got a lipped edge. But pulling it off, it looks like your standard blue switch. It looks really clean. It just looks ridiculously clean. We're gonna pull a switch out because again, the board is hot swappable to Otemu style switches. North facing RGB. So side note here, we started with getting the top row off, and due to how thick these walls are and how tall they are, it's a bit of a struggle to get the keycap puller in between those walls and in between the keys. The tolerance is so tight, so we're just gonna do some magic, cut to the point where they're all off. So the walls are, they're around every zone of the keycaps and the switches, and so it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. If you have one of these other alternative keycap pullers, I highly recommend them. It's much easier. I wish the board came with this style keycap puller, just to make life a bit more easy. Alright, since we are going to go ahead and take all these switches off, we're going to open them up, and we're going to do a loop job, put it all back together, put them in the board. It's a standard affair here. These are clicky, so you don't want to lube the front ends. Don't get near the contacts. But we're going to do the standard stuff. Otemus can be a little bit of a pain to get apart because the tolerances are so tight and they're a little bit smaller than normal switches. But it doesn't take much effort to get them apart. Once you do have them apart, you can go ahead and separate them out. And I separate by spring, by bottom, by top, by stem. So we're gonna do the sides and then the center for the 205G0. And then we'll use some super lube on the springs. And then we'll lube some, again, 205 for the stem itself. And that'll give this a nice even sound throughout the board. Make the switches feel really nice, really clean. Okay, now we got all that back together. Here they are. Got them all back in. This was not easy to get apart. These switches are very, very tight. So just be warned. It's going to be a bit of a thing. Once you want to separate everything, go ahead and get your separation tool, and we're going to slide across the bottom edge. It's the easiest way to get it apart. Once you have the bottom edge pretty much done, you can go ahead and lift straight up, and there's no interference. The wire will go with it, so you can pick that right up and place it to the side. For the case here, we're going to go with some foam. The reason for this is because there was a request for it to be loud and clicky. And while I don't really build loud and clicky keyboards, I want it to feel good, but I do want it to sound even. And I figured a nice, just standard foam all the way across the bottom would take the ping out of it and kind of that hollowness of the case, but really showcase the switch and the clickiness of the switch itself. So this is really easy to work with. This is a standard foam you can get in packaging of any sorts. It's wonderful to work with just because you can just press down on any of these areas and they'll poke right through. It makes life a lot easier than other case modifications. To the PCB, we're not going to separate it due to there's a nice amount of foam in between the plate and the PCB. So we are going to go ahead and pull out this USB cable. Make sure to always pull by the actual connector piece instead of the wires. You don't want to pull the wires, pull the cable out. Also, sometimes they get a little crazy with the hot glue and it can glue the thing in. If it does end up being glued in by accident, don't worry about moving it. You don't need to. It's just convenient. But you definitely don't want to mess up your USB. So here we're going to go with the standard tape mod. Shout out to everybody that created this mod. It's still one of my favorites, go-tos. So some people commented that why do I use smaller tape? And it's just because I can be more precise with it. Yeah. And I know it doesn't look like it, but I try this. I'm going to leave some room on the edge here due to the side RGB on the case. With the 682, they have RGB down the side of it, and the LEDs right there are on the sides of the PCB. If you cover them with tape, then you eliminate your side RGB. So you don't want to do that. Once you have the tape mod on, you got your case mod foam here in this case. Go ahead and line up your plug again, make sure your tape is out of the way, and we're going to put it all back together. Before you mount this one back in, typically with stuff that doesn't have detachable USB-Cs, there will be a little grommet that slides into the case itself. So as you're putting everything back on, just make sure you slide that grommet in first. That'll make your life so much easier. Grommet take out the sonic screwdriver. We're gonna go ahead and put the screws back into this bad boy. There are quite a few screws in a full size. Some have as least amount as about 8. Some have upwards of 10 to 12, just depending. Make sure you're just thorough if you're gonna take it apart. You don't want to rip anything apart. So if there's any catches or snags or anything like that, you might have missed a screw. So make sure you just check that out. All right, we're gonna make this keyboard pop a little bit more. These are JSJT ink Lotuses. These are OEM profile, and they are gorgeous. They feel wonderful, they look wonderful, and a white and black pop is just gonna look really, really nice. And here's the results. This is the E-Yooso K-682 with ink Lotuses from JSJT.